The red button, Preferences, is where you manage all the settings for ProAlbum-Designer. First, there's a list of album manufacturers to choose from. Each of their albums is defined by its spread size in pixels, resolution, guidelines, JPEG compression, bleed allowance, and type of covers that exists. If you're designing a square album, it might be a good idea to consider the universal size. This is a virtual album that doesn't exist, but it can be downrest through the downrest button to one of these other square albums. When starting a new design or new album, it's a good idea to set up your spread folder. This is where your spreads and covers will be saved. So click on Choose, go to Pictures, create a new folder, My New Book, and there, every time you save a spread now, ProAlbum-Designer will automatically go to that folder. Except for Windows users, you might have to do a shortcut in the Explorer, or I believe if you visit this folder for the second time you will remember it. It's not my fault, it's Windows. Okay, next here we have the template folder. Template folder is pointing to the current templates for the album. If I select a Sol horizontal album, you'll notice the template folder will change to the horizontal template. So usually you don't have to fiddle with a setting. The only time is if you happen to move your ProAlbum-Designer folder, the unzipped file, if you move it to another place, you might have to come in here and set this. Next here we have the overlays folder, and that's the same thing. If you move your ProAlbum-Designer installation somewhere else, you might have to come in here and set your overlay folder. Then we have the spread name. It's a wise decision to name your spreads according to whatever project you're working on. So let's say we've done a wedding for Camilla and Charles. I would call my spreads Camilla, Charles 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. This is because if you're working on several projects, there's a chance that if you use the default name spread, you might mix up a spread from one album with the spread from another album if they're all just called spread. Another good idea is if you call it Charles, Camilla, when you name your spreads, that they have names like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It will be easier for you to insert a spread than by numbering it number 15, for instance, or 16. The next option we have is the border width. This is the size of the border in pixels. I have it at 5. You might try 2 if you want. And also at the bottom here we have the instruction layer. This is an extra layer that is added when you create a new spread or cover. When you're familiar with ProAlbum-Designer, you might want to turn this off when you know how everything works, but initially I would recommend to keep it there.